Hello and welcome back to another episode of Building Better Bodies with Deven and the Docs. This is Deven Brady, the master bodybuilding coach and trainer. And then we've got the amazing Dr. Roberto DeSena and then myself, Dr. Amir Rashidian. And today I think we're going to talk about something that you are very, very interested in. In fact, these are questions you have on your mind. I know it. You've thought about them. You've pondered them. So we're going to clarify something that is very big, very controversial, very, very important. It's going to help you decide how you're going to do your workouts and nutrition moving forward. So what's the topic?
I think it's a topic we've all thought about and probably something you get asked frequently, Deven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the question being, should I be focused on losing weight, building muscle, one first, the other, or both? So
yeah, it's a really great question. It is something that I experience with a fair amount of frequency. So we now utilize technology in my field more and more as a way of giving our clients that walk in the door a little bit more information, a little bit more guidance as far as their health plan and health path is concerned. And obviously it's my job as a fitness professional to interpret the data that I'm getting from them, as well as help to advise them in ways that's going to best benefit them from a body composition perspective. Obviously I deal with a huge variety of people, ages, sex, gender, male, female, that there's no real differences in the genders other than the fact that sometimes we need to understand what comes along with it from a biological perspective as far as how we store fat, what's an appropriate body fat percentage, because those kind of things are different. And when we deal about hypertrophy and just general strength output, obviously sometimes it's different. Men will typically favor upper body exercises. Women usually feel a bit more comfortable with lower body. So for all of these reasons, there's there's general differences that we all accept in the fitness profession, but at the same time, it's my job to help understand what's going to most benefit each individual. So as we utilize things like the InBody machine, which I know we've talked about many times in this program, as we utilize more technology, we're giving people more information than they've ever had about themselves, their own bodies, and how it is that they progress. So one of the things that I really seek to highlight with all of my appointments is helping the people understand what their general body composition is like. And that basically means how much body fat do I have versus how much skeletal muscle mass on a basic level of one-to-one analysis. So most people, as I sit down and once I explain this, once they have a good, healthy understanding of where they are, they all want to know where they're going, right? Everybody says, well, their ideal would be, can I improve both at the same time, right? Deven, is it possible that I can increase my muscle mass and decrease body fat at the same time?
Yes, because there's three types of people, right?
Right.
You've got the clients who say, I just want to lose weight.
Yes.
And then you've got the ones that come and say, I just want to get bigger.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which is more rare these days.
Yeah, it is,
but
yeah.
there are quite a few. And then there are the ones that go, I want to burn the fat and put on extra muscle.
Right. Yeah.
So really, we're really going to break those down for you today.
Absolutely. So we'll start basic. So basic is one of the two scenarios that Dr. Amir just detailed for you guys. So the first of which, probably, if I was being honest with you guys, in my experience in the field, the one I get the vast majority of the time is fat loss. Okay. People come into me from a deconditioned state. Okay, oftentimes I'm not dealing with athletes. I'm dealing with people that have had major life changes, career changes, family changes, relationship changes. And they've realized that they've gone a little bit too far in the negative direction. They've let life get the better of them. They're not nearly as active as they used to be, or they stopped certain hobbies or habits that have led for them to be in a deconditioned state, oftentimes overweight. So for most people, they come to me wanting to lose fat. And that's a fairly simple process. And I know for some, I don't mean to insult the intelligence of anyone at home, any people that have certainly struggled with diet. I don't want to belittle those efforts.
Of course.
I can understand it's different and unique to every individual, but from a science perspective, it's a rather simple matter. And that means that we need to expend more calories on a regular basis than we take in through our nutrition. Okay, so we need to get ourselves to burn calories in a caloric deficit. So basically what that means is we need to create a difference between the amount we put out through a combination of nutrition and physical expenditure versus the amount we take in via our nutrition, okay? So the question then becomes, what deficit is reasonable? Because a lot of times we're like, look, I tried the diet X or diet Y and it worked for a little while and then it couldn't and the cravings were terrible and I felt awful. And that's your body telling you that you're in too severe a deficit, okay? That means you're way under. So when people just say, I'm gonna try a 30-day challenge of eliminating all of X or Y. The problem being is if that individual has a majority or a good bit of their diet based around that thing, they're going to lose their half of their diet and intake overnight.
Right.
So
survivor diet. I'm going to go live on an island and eat bugs.
right. It's all the rage. I saw it on Dr. Oz. Right, exactly. So they'll be influenced to want to see this radical change, and the problem is a lot of times radical change can happen because that's the body going, what is going on? Like we used to have all of this, and now we have so little.
Also, from a medical physiologic standpoint, when you deplete calories in a big way, your body goes after the areas of your body that burn faster and better, and things that can last longer, it preserves.
Right.
So you go through this long-term fast, your nervous system goes, I'm going to store the fat, I'm going to hold on to the fat, I'm going to go after glycogen. Glycogen is chains of sugar that's stored in your liver and in your muscles, so it's going to eat those, right?
Yeah.
So when it does that, glycogen actually also holds water in your muscle. So some of the size that you have is water.
Yes, of
so
course.
the glycogen gets burned, the water comes out, and you shrink. And you go, man, I lost 10 pounds in a week.
Right.
I lost 12 pounds in 6 days, whatever it might be.
That's right.
And you feel like you burned fat. But if we had done an in-body right there, you would notice you actually preserved your fat and lost a lot of water away.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the good news, is that's the information that the in-body contains. I helped every individual to understand how much of their physiology is made up in water. So we appreciate how variable that particular number can be. So a deficit is a deficit. If we want to lose body fat, we have to make sure that it's a small enough deficit so that we're always coming out as a deficit. We're working harder than the calories we're bringing in, and that will cause over time the body to result to those fat stores for energy. And that's how we kind of see overall body composition change over time. The opposite is also true. Some people, although it's not, of course, the majority, they come in and talk to me about wanting to gain size. And yes, there is such a thing as too small. And I'm not just speaking to bodybuilders. I'm not just speaking to fitness enthusiasts. I'm speaking to everyday people who come in and they get red on that machine, and it tells them, hey, you could use 3, 4, 5, 8 pounds of lean tissue on your body. It's protection, it's function. There are people out there that don't have a healthy level of muscle mass on their frame, regardless of whether or not they want to, look good on the beach or do anything aesthetic.
The number one preventer of arthritis is muscle mass.
Yeah.
You're talking about people who are going to need knee replacement surgery, hip replacement surgery.
Right.
Some of them, and it's not everybody obviously, but some of them is because they just don't have enough muscle mass around their extremities to protect their joints.
Yeah, and I know another, health issue that plagues an aging population, certainly with females, is osteoporosis, right? It's the weakening of bone density. It's the loss through calcium, right? So another thing that really helps women in their older age to prevent that, is certainly postmenopausal, is strength training. Connect and strengthen where the muscles tie into the bone, and it's going to help to preserve that bone mass. You're going to send your body signals that basically says, it's too important, this person is using their muscle mass, they're using their skeleton to bear weight and strength resistance exercises. So it wants you to hold on to that. Your body's smart, and it wants you to function appropriately.
It's very smart.
Yeah, so it'll adapt, and then weight training is a really good way to fix that. But back to the composition issue, if in fact you do want to gain muscle, it's the opposite. We need to get you in a caloric surplus. So basically now that means, and this is for those people at home, they're going, wait, but that's not the only thing that being in a surplus will allow for, and they're correct. The same physiological state that's necessary for a lot of muscle growth is also necessary for a lot of fat storage. Okay, whenever we talk about a caloric surplus, we run the risk of your body storing the surplus as fat for future energy. That's, again, the body's smart. That's how it works. It's like, oh, if you're giving me too much, I don't need it all right now, so I'll save some of it right here on the sides or in the hips or wherever it goes. We don't usually have control over where it goes. But it will store it nonetheless. So what we have to do is kind of make sure that we're not doing anything haphazardly. We need to make sure that everything is done with an education and an intelligence in their approach. So just like we did a small deficit for healthy, sustainable fat loss, we also do a small surplus for a healthy, sustainable weight gain. Yeah. So then obviously that small surplus, coupled with the appropriate training and hypertrophy techniques, means that your body and muscles being stimulated where they need growth and repair, right? So you're breaking your muscle tissue down, and you're taking in a surplus of calories, so your muscles are going, give it to me, like I'm sore, I'm broken down, I need that extra calories, not fat. It doesn't need to be stored as fat. So we basically kind of trick our mind into using the additional calories for purposes of muscle repair and growth, as opposed to just storing it for long-term fat use.
So speak a little bit on what you were mentioning earlier that, research definitely says it's best to do one and then the other, not both at the same time. Speak a little bit.
That's correct. So a lot of people often who are trying to achieve high-end goals, or they're saying, can I do both? Because when I explain to them the avenues that I just explained to all the viewers at home, is it doesn't always have to be a one or the other. And no, technically it does not. There's a lot of ways that we can trick the body and kind of help to push us in a certain way. And that golden level of physiology, which again is very rare. So it's certainly possible in those athletes, men and women, who decide to alter their body physiology through performance enhancing drugs. That's one of the appeals of those sort of drugs, is because they allow our bodies to do things unnatural. It's not natural to be able to put on a significant amount of muscle mass while losing fat in a caloric deficit. That's why those athletes are not natural, and that's why we don't advise that to anybody. So naturally, there are options that we have. So basically, I would advise to all of those people that we maintain that very small caloric deficit, because if we have to focus on the fat loss first, because if we get you in a caloric surplus, it's going to be very difficult to burn fat, because those two things don't come hand in hand. So I would get you in a small deficit of 100 to 150 calories, less than what you need. And then I would make sure that you at least maintain the muscle mass that you have by experimenting and getting yourself involved in a very rigorous high intensity training program. So there's a lot of ways to burn fat. One of them is I could just chain you to a treadmill for months on end and just have you walk until you can't stand it anymore. That'll be very effective for fat loss, very effective for burning calories, but not very effective for maintaining a good aesthetic, healthy, strong looking physique. In order to do that, we have to do resistance and strength based training. So I make sure that even though you're not quite giving your body what it needs exactly, it's going to continue to burn the fat, but it's also not going to result to the muscle tissue you have for energy, because you're using it. You're using it in an effective way, using very high intensity training. And there's some people, depending on their level of comfort and expertise with training, will respond with growth. With good quality muscle growth at the same time as they're shedding a few pounds of fat. So is it rare? Yes. Does it take a methodical, intelligent, and informed approach at every step? Yes, because it's a very rare physiological state to be in. Obviously, it's the be-all, end-all, best possible outcome of gaining muscle and losing fat. And obviously, if I could bottle that into a pill, I'd be a very rich man.
But even then, you're not going to do a lot of them.
Right.
So you might gain a little muscle and lose a little fat, but you're not focused. So it's almost like you're trying to go, you're a car trying to go in two different directions.
Yeah.
So you go forward for a couple miles and you hit it in reverse for a couple miles and go forward for...
That's exactly right.
It's almost like that. It just doesn't make sense to try from an efficiency standpoint.
Correct.
Focus on one and then focus on the other. And one thing is time frame. Yeah. So some of our audience might be thinking, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on gain for 4 weeks, loss for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That is just not enough.
No.
You're not going to gain a whole lot in 4 weeks.
Right.
Even those who, we talked about this when we were training, even the ones who are using the steroids and the performance enhancing drugs, they don't gain a ton in 4 weeks.
No.
And when you're preparing for a competition and your goal is to thin down and get rid of the fat and the water, that's not a 4-week process either, is it?
That's right. No, it's not. And you raised a really good point. So who's the type of person that I would advocate that style to is probably the type of person that comes into me and they're in very good shape. Okay, so the person that I would advocate taking an approach by which they can do both at the same time would be a pretty high-end athlete to begin with. It's somebody whose composition is generally high in muscle mass and low in body fat. So this is somebody that can make small changes to the overall approach and aesthetic balance of their musculature at the same time as begin to shed little bits of fat that they have. So again, they're pretty much at the high end. Anybody else, I would advocate a more focused, dedicated approach to one or the other based on what it is they're trying to do, because we've all heard the old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, right? So that's the problem. If you spread yourself thin across multiple goals, there's not one in particular that's really excelling. And we're in the business of truly dedicated and excelling ourselves to a goal. So if I can see that your composition is a little bit higher in body fat than you or I are comfortable with, we will focus full force. I'll teach you strength training techniques techniques so that you have an understanding. We start to build a basis, but overall muscle goal will not be the focus. Growing strength and getting our comfort with strength training is one, simultaneously while our focus and dedication is on losing that fat. And then when we're lean and we're ready to go and we flip the switch fully back to muscle gain, our body will be in a more physiologically advantageous state to grow lean muscle mass.
And that's such a good point you started to make, Doc, because a lot of these, the bodybuilders, they have the bulking season and the cutting season.
That's right.
And it's months, it's not weeks.
Exactly.
How long, though, would you recommend for, our patients, the average viewer at home, to be doing those switches? Should they be doing one each a year?
Right.
6 months, or should they be doing year-long processes, years-long processes?
It's another fantastic question, Dr. Roberto. So it's like so many, it feels like a cop-out from my perspective, but it's one of those cases where you have to look at what's best for the individual. Is there anything necessarily wrong with having 2 seasons to your year physically? No. I think a lot of people do that. And I'll go as far as to say a lot of people will find themselves wanting to get leaner in the summer and a little bit heavier in the winter, because that's how our bodies are designed. The weather gets cold, we're wearing layers. We know that we're not going to be exposed or under scrutiny by our peers or friends or significant others. We're walking around the house with a hooded sweatshirt on in the winter, But so as a result of that, most people feel more comfortable, and obviously the dreaded holiday gauntlet of Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, times where people just really like to enjoy and splurge, and they know that their diet's going to get a little lackluster. So for that reason, a lot of people will gain weight in the winter and lose it in the summer. So there's a time frame right there. So there's nothing wrong with kind of churning your training and nutrition around so that you can be okay making strength and weight gains in those winter months, and then focus on losing and conditioning and getting quality and lean with low fat compositions in the summertime when we know it's going to be hot. We're going to be wearing less clothing. We're going to go on vacations to tropical locations or the beach. We're going to be asked to be wearing less clothes. So we want to be more confident. But the answer is, if an individual is sitting in front of me and they say, I need to lose 60 or 70 pounds of fat in order to be a healthier weight for my composition, am I going to advise that at any point during the year that person stop their progress in fat loss to say, you know what, it's time for me to bulk up? No. The answer is obviously right. Deven said it's the holidays and I can go ahead and get big. No. So clearly for that person, I would advise that window of opportunity between switching between the two is much longer. Basically with that kind of person, I would work to keep them focused on an ideal body weight. So it's first and foremost, your goal has to be dedicated to getting down to this healthy weight for your frame. Because at that point, that really helps to benefit not only them, but me as a fitness professional, because then I get a better understanding of what it is that their composition really looks like once we get that fat off. And I can say, okay, now we're in a completely different place than we were 8 months ago. Now you're 60 pounds down. We can further appreciate the shape and size and density of your muscles. I can look for balances, imbalances. You can tell me personally, I fit so much better in my clothes, but now that I've got the weight off, I don't like the way this looks. I don't like the way this feels. And then you can be a little bit more informed to make judgments on your end as well. So again, it sounds like a cop-out, I don't have an answer for you, Dr. Roberto, but it has to fit the individual.
Sure.
From a motivation standpoint for that person, I would keep in mind the fact that you're not going to get compliments on that weight loss until you've lost 10%. So if it's a person who wants to go from 200 to 200 pounds down, when you lose 5 or 6 pounds, it's rare that someone's going to say you look like you're losing. But the minute you start to get compliments, the motivation goes up.
Yes,
you're going to be more likely to stick with it.
Of course.
So just make sure you don't quit until you've lost 10%. So you go from 200 to 180, you're going to get a lot of compliments.
Absolutely.
And then you're just so focused and motivated, you're going to be able to keep going.
Yeah. So, if anyone out there is just looking for a reason to obviously get going, the only thing you have to do is come in and visit me at One Life South Frederick. Obviously, I'm wearing my work uniform, so this is exactly what I look like when you come in and see me. Come in and talk to me about what it is that you're trying to do, be it fat loss or muscle gain. We'll get you on the in-body unit. We'll get you all the information we need. We'll talk about what goal is going to be best for you and what kind of reasonable timeline you can expect. And that's going to be 7 days free of charge, with obviously no expectation of you needing to sign up with us at the end of that. It's just 7 days to use the gym to the fullest capability. So come in, take advantage, guys. Mention me, mention Mid-Atlantic, mention either of the doctors or myself. Just say you saw a video, any video, and just come in and enjoy it.
Let's get right now. Right now, just do it. Turn off.
Close the laptop. Go. Get in the car
now. I'm telling you, like if you wait till tomorrow, you just extended the results by a day.
Yeah,
and you wait a week, it's going to take a week longer.
That's right. Yeah.
You got to get started now.
Yeah.
Half the battle is showing up.
Yep.
Get there. We'll see you there. Take care.
Thank you.